Late President Buhari remembered for reform-driven legislative legacy. Southeast renews call for additional states at Constitution Amendment hearing. And House of Representatives moves to curb hunger with high-level summit. Hello and welcome to You and Your Reps, where the work of Nigeria's lawmakers meets the people they serve. Now this week, it's all about food, equity and legacy. From urgent hunger talks to calls for more women in parliament and the legislative imprint of the late President Muhammadu Buhari. I am Victor Azu. Welcome. Following the week of national mourning in honor of late President Muhammadu Buhari, we take a moment to reflect on his legislative legacy. He will be remembered for signing key laws that deepened federalism, boosted political inclusion, and brought Nigeria's budget calendar back to order. His legacy, no doubt, lives on in the reforms he signed into history.
The 8-year presidency of Muhammadu Buhari fostered a constructive relationship with the National Assembly, leading to significant legislative reforms and constitution amendments that promoted federalism, such as the Electricity Act 2023, which allows states to generate, transmit, and distribute electricity within areas covered by the national grid. Landmark legislations during his presidency include assent to the Petroleum Industry Act 2021 after almost 2 decades of being in the works, the Electoral Act 2022, and the Nigeria Customs Service Act 2023 with far-reaching reforms.
In this act, provision in section 7(6), President shall appoint a career officer not below the rank of Assistant Controller General of Customs to be the Controller General of Nigeria Customs Service. And then not only at that, it's also made provision for the funding of the customs.
The Petroleum Industry Act, for more than 20 years, we are fighting to get this act passed. And I'm glad he passed it. And then I'm glad President Tinubu is religiously implementing it with courage, political courage.
The effect and impact was overwhelming. And today we have competitive outlets that are competing to give Nigerians the fuel they deserve.
Other crucial and unprecedented bills signed into law during the Buhari presidency are the Discrimination Against Persons with Disabilities Prohibition Act 2018 after almost 2 decades of advocacy, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control NCDC Act 2018, and the Not Too Young to Run Act, which lowered the age limit for political office from 35 to 30 years in the Senate and 30 to 25 years in the House of Representatives and State Houses of Assembly.
He gave this rare opportunity for the young to grow, and you can see more young people in the National Assembly and everywhere.
Beyond legislations, Nigerians believe there are values present and future leaders can learn from the late Muhammadu Buhari.
His simplicity. We should be simple as leaders. We should not see this word that we're carrying into heaven. The level of wealth accumulation should be minimal.
And the call for an additional state in the southeast reverberated strongly at the Constitution Review public hearing held in Enugu, now covering Zone A of the region, which includes Enugu, Ebonyi, and Anambra states. Also gaining widespread support at the session was the bill seeking special seats for women, as participants voiced their backing for greater gender inclusion in governance.
The enthusiasm to be part of the Constitution amendment process is visible as Nigerians converged on the International Conference Center Enugu for the Southeast Zone A public hearing. Scores of bills for consideration seek to address developmental challenges and perceived imbalance in state and local government creation, as well as the quest for devolution of powers and constitutional role for the traditional institution. Adada State is one of several being proposed for the Southeast.
We've written copiously for you. We beg you. Time comes when God gives you a position that imitates his image. so that you have judgment over your fellow men.
It is very, very necessary to restore the functions of the traditional rulers and give us constitutional roles so that we may do better jobs and engage properly.
While the proposal on special seats for women is receiving rousing support, the organized labor is kicking against removal of minimum wage from the exclusive list.
You cannot come to Nigeria and leave it for states to decide what to pay or local governments to decide what to pay. They can decide, but they should not go below minimum wage.
When you look at the constitution and the countries across Africa, you will discover that Nigeria is at the last ladder of female political representation in the parliament.
The foundation for the unity of this country, of this great nation, lies on how seriously we handle this national assignment.
You can see that the people are eager to speak their mind. People are beginning to talk about those things that concern them.
So we are taking them back to the National Assembly so that we can continue the process to see which one will pass and which one will not pass.
As the Constitution Review Committees of the National Assembly round up the public hearings, citizens expect their relevant inputs to reflect in the laws that will emanate from the exercise.
Also on the program, we sit with Representative Abubakar Fulata, a member of the Constitution Review Committee from Gender Equity to State Creation and the push to recognize traditional rulers. He walks us through the big themes shaping the next chapter of Nigeria's Constitution. He represents Breniwa Guri Kirikasama Federal Constituency in Jigawa State.
We are at the stage of public hearing, zonal public hearings. We've done with the preliminaries. The bills have scaled first, second readings. Some have been submitted, they have met all the requirements. So we are going now into a stage of zonal public hearing. And the essence of this is to give every Nigerian the opportunity to contribute for or against those bills that seek to amend various parts of the Constitution. So we have 12 centers, and then we started last week, and we are going to conclude this week with the South. We've done the northern part, we are taking up the southern part, and then we'll come back, we'll conduct one final national public hearing, which will be open to, which will take place in Abuja. That will conclude the public hearing. Then we'll go back, we write our report, and then lay before the House in plenary for the final phase where we will vote on each item. And I said, as I mentioned earlier, constitutional amendments will take two-thirds, not simple majority, two-thirds majority to pass. And in case of state creation, we need four-fifths, that is 80% of members in attendance must support the creation of that state before it is created. Then afterwards, those that have been able to scale the two-thirds majority or four-fifths in respect of state creation will be forwarded to states for their concurrence. Then you must have 24 out of 36 votes for the amendment to scale through. The House has always been favorably disposed to passing the gender bills, what's lacking at all times is the advocacy aspect of it. It is one thing to want the National Assembly to pass the gender bill. It's another thing also to go for advocacy. Enlighten people. People that you thought are enlightened on some issues may not be enlightened. So there's the need for advocacy before we come to voting. So I urge all the advocates for gender bills to pass through to come out, campaign vigorously, and it will pass. There are many entities wanting to have their own states. And I told you, unlike other bills, that of state creation needs to be passed by 4/5. So the stakes are very high. So why not? If Nigerians want it, all those entities seeking to be created as state have valid arguments that they have resources, they have sources of revenue to sustain their states. All the traditional institution wants is they want to be recognized by the supreme law of the nation that they have a role. That role, it can be anything, but let them be recognized as local authorities that even at advisory level, let them have a role. This is their agitation. They are not looking for anything extraordinary. All that they are seeking, they are looking for is recognition as a local authority, even if that role is advisory in nature. That's what they are looking for.
And the House of Representatives turns the spotlight on hunger, convening a national summit to galvanize smarter action and stronger partnerships in the fight against food insecurity at the NAS Open Week.
The core of food security is that every citizen should have access to nutritious, safe, and sufficient food always. This is the major focus of the National Summit on Nutrition and Food Security at the National Assembly. The heart of the summit lies in the stories of stunted children, people displaced by flood and left with nothing to eat, of farmers losing yields due to climate change, as observed by Chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Nutrition and Food Security, Chike Okafor.
Let experts tell us what we should do, both at the national and subnationals, to address this challenge of malnutrition and lack of food.
Participants at this summit, drawn from federal, state, and development partners, were clear. Every Nigerian child deserves more than a hungry stomach. Enhanced governance priority on nutrition and increased awareness at the local level.
Transforming our food systems to make them more sustainable. The Nutrition 774 was bettered, and showing that Nigeria has decided as a unit to tackle malnutrition.
It is hoped that these conversations won't end in the corridors of the National Assembly, but in fuller plates, healthier meals, and a nation that nourishes its own.
Now to legislative terms and tools. This week, we break down the power of the veto. What does it mean when the president says no to a bill? And what can lawmakers do about it? Let's find out.
When laws are made by Parliament and sent to the executive arm of government for assent, the president has a number of days within which to sign or return the bill, giving reasons why he is not giving his assent. But there are cases where the president completely refuses to sign. He vetoes it. He says, no, I wouldn't sign this. It's not good. And the number of days have exceeded, he still doesn't sign it. It comes back to the Parliament the way it went. That is what it means when the president has said, no, I'm not signing. I'm not going on with this. Very recently, we had an amendment to the National Assembly Trust Fund library bill, which Mr. President refused to sign. He vetoed it, sent it back to us. Those don't make news. It is when we agree with him that people say we are overstaffed. If you can remember, there are other laws in other republics during in our country's history that were also returned. But then I always like to talk about this and add the one where the House overrode the president. NDDC bill. The president said no. The House said your no is yes. And we got a majority to sign it into law without the president's signature.
Also this week on You and Your Raps, we turn to education. We start with Abubakar Fulata, chairman of the House Committee on University Education, to talk about strike threats, funding gaps, and the way forward for Nigeria's universities.
Whenever there's a strike, threat to go on strike, it has to do with non-implementation of agreements. The grievances has always been either on non-payment of salaries, delays in payment of arrears, and so forth. It has to do with welfare and benefits of lecturers. We've just concluded last year's oversight, and we are writing our reports and observations on the shortcomings that we have observed in the operations of various universities. The most important one is the collection and the utilization of the internally generated revenue, which has been mismanaged by many universities. Mark you, there are universities that get only about 2 to 3 billion as capital, but they generate almost 8 to 10 billion as internally generated revenue. There's challenges in terms of accountability and the utilization of those internally generated revenue. So we are looking into that. We are coming up with a template, and just like the national budget, internally generated revenue also must be appropriated for. Most universities do not approach the National Assembly for appropriation. They just generate and spend, and under the law, under the Constitution, is illegal. Once you generate monies and spend them without being appropriated, you have committed an illegality, and it's an impeachable offense. The other area is still within the context of revenue generation. Most universities have a lot of researches that are just lying there, gathering dust in the shelves. The outcome of those researches need to be patented. Most universities, big universities, internationally, utilize their patents to generate funds and invest in blue chip companies, generate a lot of huge resources for the universities. We want this also to take place in Nigeria, where research findings are patented and then utilized to generate monies for the universities. The infrastructure needs to be upgraded. Luckily, we have a listening president. For the first time, he has doubled virtually the budget of the education sector. This year, 2025, we have a budget of 2.1 trillion, which is almost 100% of the previous allocation. It's a very good development. But yet, we are yet to reach the 25% United Nations benchmark. Imagine our budget is about 53 trillion. Imagine 25% of the 53 trillion, which will be which is substantial. Imagine that 25% of 53 trillion is allocated to the education sector. It will go a long way to revolutionize our education system, and we are looking forward to attaining the milestone. But so far, we are doing our best to make sure that we get the best for our education system. The creation of the student loan scheme has taken care of everything. It has simplified everything. All you need, you don't need a godfather. You don't need anybody's assistance. Everything is online. All you need to do, go online, fill the necessary information, and you get your money. And this loan you can utilize to undertake your study, and then you pay only when you get a job. And it's not one-off thing. The payment is gradual. So the student loan scheme has taken care of everything in the education sector as far as the issue of scholarship is concerned.
And that wraps it up this week. From the chambers to the constituencies, we'll keep bringing you the stories that matter. Until next time, I am Victor, as you stay engaged and stay informed. Bye-bye.